It's showtime, folks.
Okay, so we are Hydro Man Ran again. I'm Kevin.
And for now, I'm Andrew.
All right, you'll get the timing down better one day. And
No, I won't. No, I won't.
and so
There's no chance.
today we're doing a top 5 that's hopefully will draw the ire of the comic book movie commenting or YouTube crowd. That's really what I'm hoping for here.
That's how you get that.
Yeah, that's all we can hope for. So we're going to do our top 5. I do have honorable mentions, so I'll go through those real quick. Do you have any honorable mentions?
I have one.
I think I went first last time, so you go first this time. I think that's how we went.
Okay.
Is that?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, whatever.
I have no idea what we did.
I don't either. Okay, you go.
It's been about 3 years.
Yeah.
My honorable mentions are Mask of the Phantasm and the first Iron Man.
Oh, okay.
Mask of the Phantasm, wonderful, and I love a good origin story. And I think I think phase 1 really did origin stories right.
Yeah. No, that's that first Iron Man movie is great. And yeah, Mask of the Phantasm is one of the better Batman films ever made. Just
it really is.
Just
straight saying something.
Yeah. I think if I was to grade it in terms of Batman movies, I think it'd probably be 3rd or 4th on my list of best Batman movies, I think.
Probably for me, top 5 at worst.
Yeah, definitely in the top 5. So my honorable mentions are Blade 2, Guillermo del Toro's movie. Absolutely love that one. Captain America: The Winter Soldier. It is my favorite MCU movie. So if my favorite MCU movie is in honorable mentions, that tells you something. The movie Dredd. So I don't know if you ever saw that one. It is the Judge Dredd movie from about 10 years ago.
I have not seen it. It's on my list. I haven't seen it though.
It is just straight action, top to bottom. It's basically a science fiction remake of The Raid Redemption. It's just absolutely fantastic and wonderful and fun. Everybody just getting blown up with guns in slow motion too. It's so good. Then Logan and The Matrix. So that's my last honorable mention.
Megan asked me if that could be considered a superhero film, and I told her no.
It is because you did not say comic book movies.
I didn't. You're absolutely right.
And so a hero with fantastical abilities. That's what I counted as. So
fair enough.
Yeah. There's going to be another one on the list that if you didn't like The Matrix, you definitely are going to like that other one. So let's have fun.
Oh no, I like The Matrix. I didn't consider it.
No, Neo's a superhero. It's a superhero origin film.
Fair enough. I'll take it.
Right. Megan's right. Listen to your wife.
I've learned that more and more every day. Just let me every question. Let me ask my wife. No, this patient needs help now. Let me ask my wife.
Yeah. And just to let you know, The Matrix was originally number 5 on my list, but I did swap it up for The Crow because I think we talked about The Matrix when we talked about top 5 favorite films, which I think it still is one of my top favorite films, or maybe sci-fi films. I don't know. We've talked about it before in the top 5, and so I thought I would have some new entries for my top 5 just so we could talk about some things. So I just swapped out the very bottom honorable mention with that one, just to give us something to talk about.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Alrighty. Well, my number 5 is Guardians 2.
Okay.
I think whenever the first Guardians came out, I feel like that was probably one of the first Marvel movies that came out where people weren't sure what to expect. Because I mean, even if you're not a fan of comic books, everyone knows Hulk, they know Thor, they know Captain America. There may have been something before then, but I feel like Guardians was one of the first groups that really only the hardcore comic book fans actually knew what it was. Everyone else just was intrigued. Like people who are more casual were just kind of
Or
intrigued by.
yeah, in terms of the MCU, 100%.
Right.
Yes, yes.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. Um, and I enjoyed the first Guardian still enough, but I've rewatched that one, and I think it's partly for the visuals because it's got some fantastic visuals, and I feel like that's probably the best that I like three as well, but I think two is just the best that that team has been, and they really gel well together so wonderfully. I've watched that film. I've watched Guardians 2 by like 15 times. I love it.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of Kurt Russell. So yeah, that one's
Yes,
great.
yes.
That one's great for him alone. Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of when Dave Bautista showed that he actually has some decent acting ability. He can't really carry any movie, but if you get a bunch of good guys around him, he can do just fine.
Yeah, I do. I think it was that movie that made me not scared when they said he was going to be in the new Blade Runner movie. Because
Right.
that was right after this movie, and I was like, oh yeah, okay. With the right
He's
director, I think he's good. He's fine. Yeah. He's not going to
he's
detract from anything. Yeah.
and that's really all that he's got to do is just
Yeah.
not take away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's mine. What's your number five?
My number five is the original Crow from I think 1992, 1993.
Hmm.
So as a kid, teenager, this is one of those movies that I grappled onto. I probably dressed up as the Crow and went to school a couple times. I absolutely loved this movie as a teenager, and while now I see some of the flaws in it, I still it holds a like a very dear spot in my heart. I think the tragedy behind this film with Brandon Lee getting killed during the filming of this movie is definitely has kind of hyped up the legend and the mythology of the film to a certain extent. Um, I am not at all looking forward to the new Crow movie that's coming out. Um, I
Who's the star of that one?
Bill Skarsgård, uh, Pennywise the clown,
Oh,
but they're giving him if you watch the trailer, it looks like they're trying to make him look like the Suicide Squad Joker. Like I don't really know what they're going for.
gotcha.
Um, it looks bloody and violent and all that kind of stuff, but they're
Which is
rehashing
interesting because
they're
go ahead.
rehashing the characters from the original Crow, so it is a true remake, but in the
Uh,
comics there's a lot of different crows, a lot of different backgrounds. Like there's one Crow story where it was a Native American was killed unjustly and comes back from the grave and goes hunts down the marauding cowboys, or maybe it was Union soldiers that killed it, and it's that killed the Native American and her clan, or her family at least. I mean, so there's a
mm,
lot of like different Crow stories that you could tell. Like none of the other there's 4 or 5 other Crow movies that were made afterwards, and they all had diminishing returns. Like they all got really really bad really quickly. Um, I like the second one, but I understand that it's not really a great movie. Um, I mean, all of them were different. All of them were completely different. You had a little bit of the second one's a little bit of a sequel in that it carries over one character with a new actress, and there's a little girl in the first one, and she grows up, and that's kind of your eyes in the second one. But other than that, they're all disconnected. They're all completely different characters. I didn't need a remake. Give me different characters that yeah. Give me a different story. I don't know.
understood.
brought to you by the guy that wrote that horrible Dracula movie. And I think it was that Dracula movie from about 10 or 15 years ago. Dracula Ascended or whatever it was. Yeah. Or no,
Yes.
maybe it was I, Frankenstein that they wrote. I don't know. If you go look at like the director and the writers of this movie, you're like, oh, yeah, this is not going to be a good movie. This is going to be garbage. Yeah.
Oh,
But The Crow is beautiful. It's stylized. Alex Proyas was a directing genius. You know, with this movie, we never would have gotten Dark City, which is one of my favorite sci-fi films. So, yeah. So, yeah, I love this superhero film. So, despite its flaws, which are many, I'll give it that. Like it's a flawed movie, but I love it. So,
well, it's our top 5 films, not what we think are the best ones.
right, exactly. Yeah,
It's fine.
yeah.
So my number 4 is the only non-comic book one on my list. It's the Pixar heroes, the Incredibles.
Oh, okay. The best Fantastic Four movie.
I
Yeah.
by a mile, which is then really sad the more I think about it. I mean, in many ways, it's really just at first glance, it can be just a simple, fun family movie for kids, but in its own simple way, it's got a lot of good messages. It actually has villains who have some real depth. Um, simple to an extent. They were the main villain was kind of shunned by the main hero, but he actually has some depth. He tries to kind of break down what makes a hero, what makes a villain, um, and yet at the same time, it's kind of nonstop. Has really good, um, really good animation for the time it came out, which Pixar has always been known to have great animation, well ahead of where they're at. Um, and I mean, honestly, not much to say. I don't know anyone who hasn't seen this movie. Um,
Yeah, and
yeah,
for me, I don't know why this is the part that always stands out. I love, is it Edna? Is that the woman that creates
yeah,
their costumes? I love that character. Like it's so amazing that that character works, because in a lot of movies that would be the character that would annoy me. But yeah, I really like her. I like that whole story with her creating their costumes. I don't know. That's a little fun aspect of the film that I think is overlooked sometimes. But
it is. She is one of the more popular characters in the movie. But yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So what's your number 4?
Mine is Hellboy 2, The Golden Army.
Nice.
So the sequel film by Guillermo del Toro. So this is the second one on my list. I do really like the first Hellboy movie also, but I think Hellboy 2 is a better film. It's a lot more creative. You get to see a lot more of Guillermo del Toro's style and his kind of crazy ideas pop out on screen. It's just a really, really amazing fantasy film, and just gorgeous to look at. Um, uh, I like the antagonist of the film. I don't even know if he's necessarily a bad guy. I'm a big fan of the Hellboy movies or Hellboy comics and the BPRD comics. So I didn't really get into them until after watching this movie. Interestingly enough, and I just went back and I've just read as much as I could of all those comics. I just really like this movie. I don't know. There's a style and a heart that Guillermo del Toro gives everything. Yeah, I just think it's a wonderful, fun film. Yeah, I like Ron Perlman. He's great. And
He is great. I
and
saw the first one. I haven't seen the second yet.
Doug Jones is awesome. He seems like a wonderful, beautiful human being. The little bit I got to interact with him also, so like him a lot.
Doug Jones is a really nice guy. I love him.
Yeah. So yeah, I recommend it. I think it's better than the first, and I really do like the first one too. So
I have to check it out.
This is somebody being bored.
My number 3 is Winter Soldier, one of
okay.
your honorable mentions as well.
Yes.
And I'm with you, as you can tell by my placing. I'll go ahead and say now, it's my top ranked MC movie as well. I think as far as the movies about just one Marvel hero, because I'm not sure when it is, but at a certain point, even movies that are named after a certain hero aren't just about that one hero. I think this is probably this is the best one they do. This is kind of like, I mean, obviously I think it's the best one because it's my top movie, but I think this is really like the peak of writing a movie about one hero in a world where there's already so many established.
Yeah.
But it can really stand alone as like just a basic action film and still be incredibly enjoyable. It has kind of the feel at a point that has the feel of like a modern Daniel Craig style Bond film. But it still has a lot of the charm that Marvel movies certainly had back then. I would argue that they lost that. I'm not sure where they lost it at, but I mean, I really do think that's just peak Marvel. And I know people say Marvel has gone way downhill after Endgame, and to some extent it has. But I think Winter Soldier was really where Marvel was at the MCU was really at its best.
No, I'll completely agree with you on that one. I think one thing that a lot of the movies have gone into, um, they've wanted to be genre pieces that with the superheroes in it, but none of them want to seem to commit. And this is the only one that seems to commit to being an actual political thriller action movie
Mm-hmm.
and just commits to the bit. Like I think we've talked about Ant-Man before. Like it's probably it's trying to be a heist film, but it's just so weak. And there's no real directorial voice. I mean, the fact that Edgar Wright was supposed to do it and got dropped off on that. I mean, it's such a producer movie and not an actual director's film. And I don't want to say that this like it's not like the Russo brothers have like a strong directorial vision or voice in this film, but I think it's a good strong script. I think they understand. I think this has the best moments of action in the entire MCU. The most captivating and interesting. Um, Even the bombastic third act where Falcon is flying among the helicarriers, it's not so crazy that it gives you headaches and it's hard to follow. It's very cleanly shot and very cleanly. I mean that part's not shot, obviously. It's very cleanly rendered CGI. And yeah, it's a great film. Um, I'm really shocked Robert Redford agreed to do a Marvel movie. That's the biggest shock of the entire movie at all. So
Absolutely. So what is
yeah.
your number 3?
My number 3 is Robocop. I
Nice.
I love this movie with a passion. It's I don't actually hate the remake. I don't think it's anywhere remotely as good as this one. Um, just the satire that Verhoeven is injecting into this movie throughout. Um, it's just got this perfect tone while at the same time being this ultra graphic, violent action film. Um, I like the remake because it kind of becomes a little bit more about the character of Murphy and how he's dealing with becoming RoboCop, and I do like that take on it. It's a very different film where this one is he's just RoboCop. It's Murphy's gone. they delve into it a little bit, but they don't really dissect it that much. But no, I love this. I remember as a kid watching this movie way too young, and just having like to this day, I don't think I've ever gotten out of my head the man who fell into toxic waste and then gets hit by a car and just turns into just goo and just covers the entire car that he had struck by. Um, Probably one of the most like shockingly violent moments I've ever seen in a film, and, and has stuck with me ever since I was probably an 8-year-old kid or 9-year-old kid. Whenever my dad let me watch this movie, um, so yeah, I love this movie. I think it's a nearly flawless film, and yeah, so that's why it's there.
I love the idea that Eric Foreman's dad in the first scene is just shooting up some guy randomly. I would I would love to think of it from the perspective of characters that I know them best for, and I saw 70s show before I saw Robocop, so I just
Right.
see him just shooting it up, and I'm waiting for him to say, "Now I'm gonna put my foot in your ass" or something like that.
Yeah, and like that's a really weird scene because I didn't. I remember watching that scene, and I guess I realized in college whenever I watched it, I'm like, how did they get away with that scene? Like that's so bloody and violent
Brutal,
and brutal. And I found out
and
later,
also just
like
cruel.
that is heavily edited down compared to what Verhoeven shot and what it was supposed to be. So, so I mean, like, I guess, hey, I guess that's a good like lesson for filmmakers is just, you know, if you want something at like 25%, shoot it for 100% and then just let the MPAA edit you back to
There you
whatever
go.
you need to be. Yeah. So yeah, if you ever watch the unedited stuff of that, that's crazy. The behind the scenes on that, how they got the prosthetics. I mean, that's some like it's John Carpenter's thing level of practical effects in that film. That's really some crazy stuff in that. So cool movie to watch the behind the scenes on. But
Oh, I bet.
okay,
Alrighty.
so what is your number two?
Whoa!
I'm gonna go super cliche and say the Dark Knight.
That's my
And
number two.
all right,
Yeah. So
and I don't know that we could come up with a single idea or theory or thought on this movie that hasn't already been posted on YouTube.
no, I think everything that has been said about this movie has already been said. I think the reason why it's for me personally, it's not my number one is I feel like the the standout performance of Heath Ledger overshadows Batman, and it almost becomes a Joker movie instead of a Batman movie. For me,
I feel like maybe since this movie, that's kind of been DC's goal. Like any DC, it's kind of been the goal is for Joker to be the standout because
yeah, didn't work for
there's
Zack
just
Snyder verse, but okay. Well, he
well,
was he was a standout, but
not
for
much.
not for the reasons they wanted. But yeah.
There's no such thing as bad press. That's not true, but there's no.
Uh,
But yeah, I mean, it's an incredible film. Like, there's really not much to say, and um, I mean, his whole trilogy is incredible. Like, there's only a handful of trilogies ever that all three of them on their own are great.
right.
Like, only other ones for me that come to mind are Lord of the Rings and the first three Star Wars.
Yeah, see, I'm a critic of Jedi, so I won't even say the first three Star Wars.
That's
So
fine. That's fine. But I mean, even movies like I don't know, trying to think of this trilogy that I messed up.
I mean,
Godfather.
even
You know,
yeah,
Godfather, terrible, terrible third act.
right. Guardians had
I'm
a
really glad Kill Bill only had two parts.
yeah.
That's true. Guardians had a solid 3P, and yeah, and for Marvel to do that, that's impressive.
Yeah. I think a lot of people would say the Captain America trilogy, but I think Civil War is an Avengers film, not a Captain America film. So
I always was bothered by the fact that they called that Captain America. It doesn't. I mean, he might be the most prominent hero in it, but he's the most prominent hero in a lot of the movies. And Iron Man
that
has a
is
major
that
role.
is Iron Man's movie. All that should have been
Yeah,
Iron Man Civil War or the Avengers Civil War. That is not a Captain America movie. I don't care what people say.
I could go with Avengers. I think it would still have the same issue if it was Iron Man.
Right. I personally I think Iron Man's more of the main character than Captain America is though. I feel
It's
like
more his story.
right. You're seeing more Iron Man's arc.
Yeah,
Because Captain America stays plateaued throughout that entire film. Like he does not change as a character. Iron Man is the one with the
yeah.
arc. And
And a big part of Captain America in that is him. It's because of Bucky,
yeah,
not because of Captain America.
right. But
Uh,
yeah, but anyways, The Dark Knight is perfectly paced. I mean, the action sequences in it are brilliant. Obviously, the performances are brilliant. Even though I think I have heard criticism of Christian Bale kind of doing an imitation of himself from the first film. Not I can kind of give that. I do think this movie incorrectly overshadows the third in that trilogy because I do think the third movie in that trilogy is very, very good. And I think
it's underrated.
it's
It's very underrated.
yeah, it's not as good as this one, and I think it suffers from sequel syndrome. It's kind of like
Yeah.
when I just saw Furiosa, like I liked the film, but it wasn't Fury Road, right? So there was like a piece of me that I was like, okay, I know it's not Fury Road, but even in my mind, as much as I enjoyed it, like it suffered from sequel syndrome. Like I need to go back and rewatch it again. So
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
all right,
So,
so
so I
what
guess
was
I'll go again.
yeah? What's
So,
your number one?
same character, different actor. The newest Batman
Oh,
is my number one. I I've watched it several times since I think I first told you that I watched it, and I I love it more and more every time. I think in many ways it's one of the most accurate, at least to what I see Batman as, the most accurate Batman film, because it doesn't really have him as like this sad rich kid, but it doesn't really have him as the like multi-billionaire mogul either. It's just kind of a imperfect blend of everything that he is. And I mean, Robert Patterson, I was just sold that this film was going to be crap the moment I heard about it. He proved me wrong. He completely proved me wrong.
yeah, I'm definitely a fan of this movie, and I think I've only watched it twice, but the second time I watched it, I enjoyed it a whole lot more than the first time. Um, it's I've heard, I think I was recording with the M6P the other day, and I heard them complain about the third act, how it gets crazy and over the top. And in both times I watched it, I actually really enjoyed the third act, like because they didn't want the movie to end. Like I enjoyed being in this world. I enjoyed being with these characters. And the was it Paul Dano, like his Riddler is fantastic. Like he does an
It is.
amazing job. Um, like yeah, I wanted to keep staying in this world. I'm looking very much towards the Penguin series because Yeah, I wanna.
Very
I'm
beautiful.
not a fan of Colin Farrell at all, but I'm excited for that. I want to see more from this world. So yeah,
The characters they picked, if you like seeing them prior to knowing anything about the movie, you would think it's like some kind of parody.
right.
Like seeing the actors they picked, you would what is this? But the timing, the direction, the story, it was perfectly crafted for what they had.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the sequel on this one. Definitely.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
But so what about you? What is your top film?
I think it's anybody who's ever watched our episodes before knows what it's going to be. Because I'm pretty open and blatant about this. It's Spider-Man 2, Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi, Doctor
I was
Octopus.
certain.
It's it's a flawless movie. I watched it again recently, and I love this movie from beginning to end. It's it's just such a good movie.
It's
It
great.
it gives Spider-Man, it gives Spider-Man such a or Peter Parker such a great character arc, such a believable character arc. It pulls from all the great aspects of the comic books, how he doesn't he enjoys being Spider-Man, but it interferes with his life. So at the same time, he also hates being Spider-Man. Um, it's Yeah, I love it. I think Alfred Molina as Doctor Octopus is genius. I think he's brilliant in it. Um, the direction from Sam Raimi is flawless. Uh, Doctor Octopus coming awake is one of my favorite moments in a comic book movie. In the hospital, just so much fun, just pure Sam Raimi kookiness, and just I know it's pure Sam Raimi, but it also feels directly from a comic book. It's just perfect. Yeah, so it's my all-time superhero movie. I think it's the best comic book movie ever made. So yeah, uh,
It's really good. That's also my wife's top film. As I had asked her to make a list beforehand. That was her top one as well.
yeah,
And the moment I saw it, I was like, "Oh, you and Kevin."
I agree. Yeah, no, she's not wrong.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, I think as far as Spider-Man goes, that's the best Spider-Man film.
Yeah, I think that's easy.
And
And I mean, even for me, it's better than the animated ones recently, across the dimensions and all that. So
yeah, I really like the first one. But Spider-Man 2 easily blows that one
oh
out.
yeah, for me too.
Um, and I really like the first one too. But again, I'm a big origin story, and that one felt different than a lot of the superhero films they were doing at the time.
Yeah, well, I think they didn't know how to do superhero films at the time. So I think that one gets dragged down a little bit too much in its origin story.
It
I don't
does. It kind of felt like
and that's my minor criticism. That's why that one's not on my list. That's all.
sure, yeah.
Um,
And I mean, it's got flaws. It kind of that one kind of felt like it was something that Marvel could have made
right.
like early on.
Mhm.
Um, but
It feels
Spider-Man
like
Two, I completely agree.
it feels like the template for like Iron Man. Like they took that template and they kind of honed it in for like the origin stories that they used for the MCU.
Yeah,
That's what it feels like for me. Because the first half
I think
is
so. Maybe
is the origin story, and then the second half is the superhero becoming the superhero, and that's what Iron Man
sure.
is. That's what Captain America is. That's what
Hmm.
uh, even Thor is. Like they kind of do that in Thor also. Um, so
Yeah, I think I think the final battle with Peter versus Osborn, I think that could definitely be in like a modern, well, not modern, but like a early Marvel film for sure.
yeah, it's not big enough now, but it's perfect for what that movie needed.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's ridiculously low budget and low explosions compared to what they
Yeah,
want,
but
which I'm
it's
fine.
emotional. It's complete. It's characters. It's great.
It
It
actually has value.
yeah, like it's purposeful. It's been built up the entire time, and you buy it. You see the emotion on the characters. Like it.
Yeah,
I wish more comic book movies would look at that and be like, oh, it doesn't have to be the end of the world. It just
gripping.
has to be important to the characters, right? To whoever.
Yeah.
Like it has to be important to the bad guy and it has to be important to the superhero. And it can be as simple as the two of them wanting to kill each other. Like just
Mhm.
give them the reason and motivation to do it. That's all we need. So
I love Captain America, but they essentially stole the ending of Temple of Doom when they killed Red Skull. The Nazi gets burned alive. Like that's Temple of Doom.
yeah. Yeah. But we're about to run out of time here because I won't pay for Pro. So that is join our Patreon
Hey,
whenever we actually decide to set that up, which is not going to be anytime soon. And
stay
yes,
strong, comrades.
that's our top 5 superhero films. Hey, if you've made it this far, let us know what yours are in the comments and give us a thumbs up if you think we did an okay job, or give us a thumbs down and troll us because that helps us out in the algorithm just the same. So
Bless you, trolls. Bless you.
yeah, and next time it'll be Hydra Man Rand goes to space whenever that happens. So we'll see you then.
Listen. That was fun. Oh, here, let me tell you Megan's other ones real quick.
Yeah.
So she had Spider-Man 2 was number 1. Number 2 was Batman Begins. Number 3 was The Matrix. Number 4 was the Snyder Cut of Justice League, and 5 was The Incredibles.
Okay, she lost me
and
with
they
number 4.
and she wrote if Matrix doesn't count, you can add Dark Knight Rises.
Really, she likes Dark Knight Rises and Batman Begins more than The Dark Knight. That's interesting.
Yeah, no, she